No matter how you hide a body, there are always flaws. My daughter was only 5 years old when she disappeared. Ever since, it has remained an unsolved case. One night, many years later, I happened to see a photo taken by an old neighbor. On the modeled wall at the corner of the building, a human face had unexpectedly appeared. It looked exactly like my 5-year-old daughter. I saw the photo on my social media feed. The person who posted it was Xiao Zhang, a neighbor from my old apartment building, and also my cousin. We used to be very close. As I stared at the photo, at the outline of the human face on that wall, the longer I looked, the more panic I felt, because I suddenly remembered something. Once my son woke up screaming from a nightmare, muttering a single sentence incoherently. My sister is crying inside the wall. I always thought he just missed his sister. But combined with this photo, my intuition told me something was wrong. When my daughter vanished without a reason back then, the police turned the whole neighborhood upside down, but they couldn't find a single clue. But what if she was inside the wall? Thinking of this, in the middle of the night, goosebumps broke out all over my body. I shook my sleeping wife awake and asked her, "Look at this photo. That outline on the wall. What does it look like?" She rubbed her sleep-filled eyes. "It doesn't look like anything. It's just cracks in the wall." I paused for a moment, but still said my daughter's name. "Don't you think it looks like her? Are you dreaming?" Her eyes cleared up instantly. After a second of hesitation, she impatiently snapped at me. "It's just cracks in the wall. Are you out of your mind?" In the middle of the night, I was completely stunned. I never expected her to act this way. "Stop thinking about this. It's been so long. If you have the energy, you should worry more about our son." After saying that, she turned her back to me and went right back to sleep. The way she put it, we had another son, Huey, who was currently undergoing treatment, but the results weren't very good, and the medical bills were draining our savings. Looking at her back, I remembered why I waited downstairs for Mei back then. It was also because of my wife. She called down from upstairs, saying Mei needed some exercise, and letting her walk down by herself while I waited below like an idiot. Thinking about this, my mind felt so chaotic. No matter what, I had to figure out the truth and find my missing daughter. Early the next morning, I went back to the old building. I had already contacted Xiao Zhang beforehand. He was still sitting there, but he was now the last resident left in the building, and he was getting ready to move out too. Taking that photo and posting it online was just a way to say goodbye to the old place. Goodbye, old friend of many years. When I stepped back downstairs, a sudden wave of fear welled up in my heart. My feet involuntarily came to a halt. I froze right in front of the staircase, because 7 years ago, I had stood in this exact spot, waiting for Meng to come down. This is the trauma of my lifetime. Fortunately, Xiao Zhang appeared in time and woke me up. "Brother Liu, good morning." I finally snapped out of my terror. Cold sweat was pouring down my back. "Come up, Brother Liu. The wall you mentioned is upstairs." He turned and headed up, and I hurriedly followed behind him. We reached the landing between the 4th and 5th floors. Xiao Zhang pointed over again. I nodded. "Is this what you were talking about?" I raised my head and took a look. The wall was a complete mess, covered in cracks everywhere. There was indeed one spot that vaguely looked like the outline of a face, but it wasn't nearly as clear as the photos Xiao Zhang took, let alone looking like a real face, much less resembling Meng. I let out a breath. It turned out that lighting and angles were what made it look like a face in the photo. It was just me being under too much stress and seeing things wrong. At that moment, I felt a wave of disappointed grief. "Never mind, Xiao Zhang, don't talk about favors. Brother Liu, thanks." I stared at a spot on the wall, trying my best to use my imagination to piece the cracks together into Meng's face. "I missed her so much." Xiao Zhang replied from behind me. "I'm going down to make some tea." "Since you're already here." "Brother Liu." I nodded. After he finished speaking, I heard the sound of his footsteps turning and heading downstairs. I walked up to the wall and reached out to touch those wall cracks. It felt ordinary, just a cold patch of plaster. And thinking about it, if Mei were still alive, she would be 12 years old now. She would be growing into a lovely young girl, enjoying her life happily. I lowered my head and turned to leave. But from behind me, a gentle voice suddenly rang out. It felt as though I had been struck by lightning. And I froze in my tracks. I could turn to ash and still never forget this voice. "Is it Meng?" It was her voice. I spun around on my heels, but saw absolutely nothing. However, the cracks on the wall, that patch of wall was gently peeling away. I walked over. Amidst the slightly falling dust and cracks in the wall, I saw something. I pulled hard to get it out and realized it was a hair clip, a pink hair clip. The sense of familiarity from within that wall made my hands shake uncontrollably. I swallowed my grief and went down to Xiao Zhang's place. I pretended as if nothing had happened and made small talk with him. That was when I learned this building was about to be demolished soon, which is why he was moving out. He actually felt quite reluctant to leave. I casually tested the waters, asking if there had been any renovations here. After I moved away, especially in the public areas, Xiao Zhang thought for a good while before saying, "After you guys moved out, there was indeed one round of wall repairs." The exact time, I don't quite remember. My brain felt like it was crashing, because horrific images kept flashing through my mind. It was a result I couldn't accept. Meng had been built into the wall. Xiao Zhang was still saying something, but my ears were ringing, and I couldn't take any of it in. After I finished a cup of tea, I finally looked at him and asked, "Xiao Zhang, can you do me a favor?" He furrowed his brows and asked me, "Don't talk about favors. Brother Liu, if there's anything you need, just say it." I wanted to tell him I had to find Meng, even if it meant digging up the sea. I had to find her. Only by finding her could I call the police again and find the person who murdered her back then. But I was afraid Xiao Zhang wouldn't understand. So I changed my phrasing. "Accompany me to smash that wall open." Don't ask why. That was an extremely old walk-up apartment with virtually no property management, and right now there were no other residents around, so smashing the wall went exceptionally smoothly. But reality left me disappointed once again. Using the crack in the wall, we smashed a large hole, almost breaking all the way through the wall. But inside, there was still only concrete and bricks, completely nothing else at all, let alone Meng's remains, not even a shred of clothing. Xiao Zhang finally spoke up. Liu, what on earth are you looking for? Can we stop smashing now?" I nodded. Was my judgment wrong after all? Meng wasn't in the wall at all. But then how do you explain that hair clip? And I could never mishear Meng's voice, even if I turned to dust. Could I have been hallucinating? After packing up my things, I prepared to leave the old building. By then, the sun was setting, and there were almost no pedestrians on the road. But I caught sight of an old man, dressed in ragged clothes, looking like a homeless vagrant. His hair was messy, and his beard was so long that I couldn't clearly see his face. He kept staring right at me. I tried to rack my brain to see if I knew him, until we brushed past each other. I heard him muttering his sentence. Children go missing every year. Every year. They go missing. But he just cracked his mouth wide open, and quickly turned back to ask the old man what he meant. But he just cracked his mouth wide open, revealing a mouthful of yellow, ugly teeth, and gave a terrifying smile. I froze for a moment, and he scurried away on all fours like an animal, moving so fast I couldn't even catch up. Watching his retreating figure vanish into the distance, I furrowed my brows. Who was this person? Could what he said about missing children have something to do with Meng Meng? When I got back home that night, the moment I walked in, I heard my wife nagging endlessly. Where on earth did you run off to again? You haven't gone to see Huey all day. You're always running around. Did you even make any money? Medical treatments cost so much. What are we supposed to do? I didn't talk back. I rubbed my temples and sat down on the sofa. The more I thought about what that vagrant said, the more I felt it was connected to Meng Meng. I thought for a moment and spoke to my wife. The building is going to be demolished. I went back to handle it today. It might take a few more days. We'll get a lot of compensation money. My wife's eyes lit up instantly. Really? That's wonderful. That's great. She finally stopped nagging so much. Night fell, and I didn't sleep very soundly. Yeah, Haze, I dreamed of Meng Meng. I dreamed of those long stairs and those mottled walls. I walked up the stairs, searching for my daughter on the walls. But her outline never appeared on the wall again. Instead, right there in the wood grain, half a human face protruded outward. I was startled, stepped back several paces, and almost tumbled down the stairs. At the same time, the long hallway echoed with bursts of harsh fingernail scratching sounds. I woke up with a start. After catching my breath, I realized my wife wasn't in bed. I got up and saw light coming from the balcony. My wife was squatting there, burning something in an iron basin. I quietly walked over, and then I saw it. She was burning clothes. They were Meng Meng's clothes from when she was alive, the ones I couldn't bear to throw away, and had kept all this time. I didn't disturb her, nor did I ask why, because I suddenly remembered something else. Back when Meng Meng walked down the stairs alone, my wife was right there at home on the 6th floor. My heart pounded wildly. The next day, I returned to the vicinity of the old building once more. I walked all around, wanting to track down the vagrant. Passing by a recycling station, I stopped in my tracks. I recognized this recycling station. It had been there for over 10 years. The owner running it was a woman called Sister Hong. Haven't seen her in years, and she looked a lot older. Strangely enough, she was able to recognize me. Well, if it isn't Xiao Liu, why did you come back? Haven't seen you in all these years. Say me. She was still very enthusiastic since I wanted to find that vagrant. He definitely knew the area better than I did. I stepped forward and greeted her flatteringly. Hey, Sister Hong, it's me. I didn't expect you to still recognize me. Your business is getting bigger and bigger. After exchanging a few pleasantries, I smoothly changed the subject and asked her about that strange vagrant. The warmth immediately vanished from her face. After staring blankly for a moment, she finally spat out the sentence. That person. That's not a vagrant. That's my husband. I was taken aback and hurriedly asked, what's wrong with him? Sister Hong let out a sigh. He's mentally unstable. It's been many years, and he refuses to see a doctor. I was debating whether to ask for the reason and what her husband meant by talking about missing children. But then I suddenly noticed. Sister Hong's recycling station was huge. Aside from the front reception yard and the small house, there was a massive area in the back, enclosed by wire fencing, where they piled up scrap materials. It was very spacious inside, with some items piled up so high that they blocked the line of sight. It felt like anything could be hidden in there, and anything could be kept out of sight, let alone a small child. So I stopped asking about her husband, and didn't ask about any missing children either. I only asked her one thing. Sister Hong, are you short on money? She was stunned for a moment, and the look on her face told me her business wasn't as great as it looked on the surface. I bid her farewell and walked back toward the old building. Walking from the recycling station to the old building only took 3 minutes. 3 minutes was such a short time, but it made me remember. Back when Meng Meng went missing, the police had also searched Sister Hong's recycling station. Could it be that the police missed a crucial blind spot back then? At the time, I chose to trust the police, but now combined with Sister Hong's husband's madness and what he had said, I felt this couldn't be a coincidence. I temporarily suppressed the thoughts in my mind and continued walking. Along the road in front of the old building, I noticed a few more security cameras had been added. These kinds of cameras record round the clock and are required to keep footage for at least a month. They had serial numbers on them, and I copied them all down. I kept my thoughts down. I saw on the road ahead new security cameras. They record all day, kept for at least a month. I copied down their numbers, then sent them on WeChat to Captain Zhang, telling him, help me check these surveillance contents. Focus mainly on the front of the recycling station and in front of this old building. Captain Zhang replied after a short while. You're still chasing this? I didn't explain. I just sent a few lines back. You are me? Captain Zhang was the detective in charge of Meng Meng's case back then. He had promised me he would find Meng Meng. He thought it was a small matter that such a big person like her wouldn't just leave that kind of building. How could she possibly disappear? So he had been negligent. So he felt guilty. Before he messaged me back, I continued wandering around my old building for another day, but I still found nothing at all. But found nothing. Didn't even see Han Wen's wife. At dusk, Captain Lin finally messaged me back. Is this your wife? The picture loaded slowly. When the image finally opened, I was stunned. I saw my wife by the old building. She wore a bright red dress, looking like a ghost, staring blankly, standing before that old building. I was dazed for a while, though the surveillance screenshot wasn't very clear. Her vibe and look, I could never mistake. That red dress hangs right in my closet, and the timestamp was 1 a.m. 3 nights ago. I was already asleep then. Captain Lin's message came through right after. The station was normal too. Is this exact footage? Here. Is this your wife? I thought and didn't reply, instead made a call, straight to him. Captain Lin answered quickly. I cut straight to the point. I need another favor. Hanging up the phone. I sat dazed for a long time. On the call I didn't answer Captain Lin's question about my wife. I just brushed it off evasively. No matter what I refused to believe. My own wife.